let me just pretend that I haven't spilled the tea on my notebook and I haven't choked on the tea because it's too hot. Whatever, I am a disaster. Welcome to this channel. Moin, moin. My name is Anna of Northern Germany, a survivor, a fighter, a writer, and on this channel I talk about writing because I'm an aspiring author, and currently my novel is at the stage which is a bit stagnant, and I need to overcome this period to gather bravery and to send my novel to a couple of friends, because at this point I cannot really assess my novel fairly and I really need some second opinions. And besides, I talk about mental health and mental health awareness because some time ago I was diagnosed with depression, with chronic depression, and now I'm in remission, but I still struggle a lot in this world. And also I talk about literature because I am in love with literature, especially English literature, and also I talk about politics sometimes because I'm an exiled Russian who lives in Germany, and I have political tea once in a while when something really impressive happens, and I really love political tea. I don't do that too often because I need to take care of my mental health. And all this together on this channel, I know it's a lot, but I am just pouring my creativity into this channel. I work at a school for kids with special needs. Wow, yeah, also that. Also that. I'm never bored, as you can see. Oh no, actually, I'm often bored. Today, what I'm going to talk about is a trip, because recently there were holidays, school holidays, and I had, well, there were 2 weeks of school holidays. I had only 1 week. But whatever, this week I spent on Sylt. Sylt is an island in northern Germany. And I had been wanting to go there for, I cannot say for a very, very long time, for an extended period of time. Now when I think of it, probably it didn't happen that long ago that I saw the first videos on Instagram of these white, endless beaches and of this true northern landscape, and I was in love. I of course immediately drew a picture in my head because I have a book which is one of my favorite books, and I think I mentioned it some time ago, and also I mentioned it on my TikTok. The book is called Schwarze Häuser. Unfortunately, this book is only in German, but this book is so atmospheric and it's also my comfort read. And the book is taking place in northern Germany in 1970s, also on one of the islands on the North Sea. And I imagined this perfect picture that I could go there and I could enjoy myself. I could enjoy myself creatively. I could film, I could write, I could read and do all these things that I love a lot, but I cannot say that I don't have enough time to do all this, but mostly I don't have energy because I'm not the most energetic person. I had this picture in my head, and now when I'm saying this, it probably sounds as if I'm going to tell you, but actually my trip was horrible. It was dreadful. I'm so disappointed. No. But of course I had a picture in my head, and that means that probably some expectations were not met, but it doesn't matter. It's not that important. The most important thing that I really wanted to spend this holiday in the north on this island, Sylt. And before I went there, I knew 2 things about Sylt. The first thing, it's super hyped. And the second thing, it's one of the most expensive places in Germany. But I was like, okay, it doesn't matter. I am going to Sylt and I'm going to take everything from this trip. So I invite you on the trip together with me. And in this video, you'll find out how comfortable Sylt is for a writer, for an author. I'll also give you some advice how to dress for the north. And I will share the views. I will also share the book, maybe in some pictures, the one that I was reading. Of course, not the one that I was writing and am writing. It's too early for that. Let's set off on a journey. On the 4th of May, one day before Easter, I arrived in Westerland. Westerland is one of the towns on Sylt, and I traveled there by train from Hamburg. Very easy for me with a regional train, a part of 63 euro ticket, and it stops in Morsum, then Kampen, then in Westerland, and it travels with this through this Hindenburg Dam, which is essentially the train line through the sea. Not that exciting, but it's quite pretty. And Westerland is the most popular place. It has the biggest number of houses to rent, all the cafes, and life happens there. And generally Westerland's job is beach, and even if it's crowded, you can always find a spot there. But on the first day I basically walked on the central beach, and then I was very tired and I needed to find food. I will put some off tops of the topics that the conclusions that I made already, maybe on the way back home or during my trip, and which I want to add extra. And as you know from my previous videos, I am a very anxious person. I definitely have issues, something like an anxiety disorder. And my problem was always that I struggled to leave the house to go to cafes, especially if I was alone. And still, in the place which is not my comfort zone, it's difficult for me to go to a cafe. I was in a cafe once. But what I found out, that if you want to eat, you can hardly eat decent food for less than 11-ish euro, you know. It doesn't matter if you go to Edeka or to just a cafe. Of course, I'm not talking about a restaurant. The restaurant is going to be more expensive, especially on Sylt, huh? But yeah, it was just a revelation for me. Oh yes, that's, yeah, I'm a person who is afraid of spending money, overspending money. It's not that I'm like, you know, very short of money. No, I'm a person who saves a lot and who's usually reasonable, unless I go to the action. Anyway, you have to eat. You must eat. And cheaper than 11 euro, I mostly say this to myself, you can hardly find decent food, and you must eat well, because you love yourself. I love myself. I have issues with that, but we love ourselves. I began my second day with a short writing session in my journal. So I was majorly journaling, and I was writing about my impression, and I also described the situations around me, people around me, the weather, and everything that just came to my mind. And initially I had imagined it slightly differently, my writing sessions, because I wanted to find a place in which I would have had a table at home, but it didn't happen because it's quite expensive to rent a place on Sylt. Mine cost 250 for 4 nights. I don't know how expensive it is. Well, could be better, of course. I had a small room, quite dark one, but quite cozy. and a table would have been perfect, but there was no table in the house. Anyway, yeah, the only place at home where I could write was basically on my bed, but I often write on my couch or in my bed. And my house was generally fine. I couldn't say it was super clean. It had a very, very small kitchen and something like a microwave, but which appeared to be an oven. And it also had this entrance hall, whatever, and there were these photos hanging there, which are a bit creepy. Who is this kid? Who is this man? Whatever. But yeah, I tried to spend more time outside because usually I am very bad at that. And Sunday was the Easter time, and I was traveling to Kampen. If you are in the context of Germany, you know that there is no bad weather, only bad clothing. And this is very much true. And I will explain to you how you must dress up if you want to freaking survive the north. You could see the wind. Also, I had to do a bit of extra stabilization because my phone just couldn't survive that. It's just not possible. And the thing is, you need to be ready for the north. And for that, I would suggest wearing something under. I wear jeans and also tights, and now I have my leggings on, and I have like very, very tight socks that I also wore. Okay, I don't have to wear them now, but I had very tight socks for you not to be like, not to have extra ventilation in your body. But the main thing, and those I borrowed from my friends, those are waterproof pants, and also sand is like what a trip. Yeah, so you can make them also very tight on your ankles, and you wear them over your normal pants, jeans, and also the tights are under. Let's accept that, and also tights are under. This is ridiculous. You don't wear anything pretty there. I have this sweater. This sweater comes from one of my ex-friends from my volunteering years, and for him this sweater was washed very poorly and it shrank and he couldn't wear it anymore. So you wear this, so it's also very tight with your neck covered. Then of course the scarf, like very, very tight scarf. Yeah, very, very tight the scarf. Let's take away the microphone. Then you must have the jacket. Of course, if you have money for something fancy like jack wolfskin, all Germans wear it for a reason. They are really windproof. But otherwise, this one is from C and A. C and A. And it cost me like 40 euro, 60. It was just very long ago. I cannot say how much exactly. Definitely, it was below 100. Then, a hood. Of course, please, no hoodless. Hoodless jackets, because it makes no sense to wear those. And you can also tighten it like this. And don't forget about sunscreen, of course, and sunglasses if you also, like me, have very weak light resistance, and also you have to take into consideration that the beaches are really white and the sun, well, it was sunny every day when I was on Sylt. And like this, you're ready. I traveled to Kampen by bus number 1 from Westerland, very convenient from the central bus station, and it also runs quite often. The only problem that it fills to the brim. It's full. Kiddies, doggies, Germans, all that you will experience those there. Also, Lindt chocolate company is kind of partly based there for some reason, and they had been hosting some kind of an event, probably some egg search for kids, or I don't know, so it was an ordeal to come back from Kampen. But anyway, Sunday, Easter, was the breeziest day in Kampen. I experienced the wildest wind that strikes you, shakes you out of balance, and your face turns raw. Also, walking there is as if when you walk against a resistance band that might spring back any minute and catapult you to the land of Oz. If my phone had been capable of any stabilization, on that day it failed me. I had to artificially correct it with DaVinci Resolve, so I'm very sorry for the quality, but whatever. The red cliff didn't really impress me. I didn't see any red, but it also might depend on the season. But I climbed the Uvedune to the top, and it is, well, vandalized, as I would say. And it's named after a prominent freedom fighter. It doesn't have anything to do with him directly, but yeah, it is just named after him. And this beach in Kampen, warning here, it's also not free exactly. You need to buy kind of the guest card, which is like for the day is €4. But the rumors say that if you buy this card and then on the next days, if you're asked to show the card, you just pass by and show the card quickly. They will not check the date on the card and nobody will care. In the afternoon, I had lunch because eating is very important. Maybe you're a normal person and you don't need a reminder, but I definitely do. And then I toured in different shops because I don't necessarily need to buy. I just like seeing, looking. And then I was back home around 5 and I had a wonderful writing session. I was so happy, I was so satisfied with that writing session because in this writing session I was back to my political novel that I had put on hold very, very long ago, and I was also doubtful how to develop the plot, but right now it seems like I don't know, I just need some plot things and twists to settle down in my head, and it needs some time, and when the necessary amount of time has passed, it just falls on place. And I was very happy, and I started to write, and I wrote quite a bit from the next chapter, and I think now I can say that I know where my book is going. And this is kind of a book which is a thriller, I would call it, and it's based in modern Russia, and it's also the war in Ukraine related, and yeah, I think it's a very interesting project, quite different from my first novel, which I hope is going to be published, but we'll see about that. And it is quite different from my first novel because my first novel has a lot of my experience. And if you're also a writer, an author who's watching this, probably you have the question how well adaptable Sylt is for an author. And I must say I had expected more cozy places. Of course, there are plenty of cafes in Westerland. But the thing is, because the island is very hyped and it wasn't there in the season. Yes, of course, those were Easter holidays, but still, Sylt is so hyped. And that means that if you attend a cafe, it's going to be nosy. And I'm personally a person who has high tolerance to noise because I work at my school for kids with special needs, and sometimes it's so loud that another person would have gone crazy. I have adapted. But still, it's a bit hard to concentrate, and also when you're a person with anxiety like me, you cannot help but be impacted by this hustle and bustle, and you feel like you must run, you must go away, and you are taking the table, the place, and people are coming and going. Well, if you're healthy, you might enjoy that. I'm not. Other places, the library, for example. The library works like the local library in my town, so it's closed in the middle of the day, and on the weekends you can hardly get in. You cannot get in. And it's also very small, and also some people are rude. They're not the librarian. They're usually not. But some people in Germany, I already had I haven't had a TikTok about it yet. I want to film one. Some people in Germany don't really understand the purpose of libraries. For example, a man next to me, he came to look into some magazines, from what I understood, and he started to talk with two other ladies in the library, and the librarian came to him and said that, can you please be quieter, because it's just a quiet corner in this library. And he reacted quite aggressively. He shut up, but he reacted quite aggressively. And this is what I also noticed in Hamburg and also in my library, like in my town. If you watched my video of me editing my novel, you can watch it. Yeah, that was insane. Otherwise, there is a co-working, I think, at least, if I'm not mistaken, but of course you have to pay and you have to book it online, and there is only this online access. But from what I heard, it's quite picturesque, and there is also a library in Leeds. It's pity that I didn't carve time to go there, but for example, their library works even fewer days than the library in Westerland, because yeah, there are fewer people. Also, if the wind is not that crazy as it was during my stay, you can write on the beach or in one of those baskets. And those baskets, somewhere in the central beach in Westerland, you'll be asked to pay to rent a basket. But honestly, on other beaches, they don't care, from my experience. So I would say Sylt, for a writer, maybe 6 out of 10. On the third day, the Easter Monday, I traveled to Hörnum, and nothing else counts, all that had been before, because it was only on the third day that I came to Hörnum, and Hörnum is love. Please, at least one seal. At least one seal. I'm not asking for much, right? Of course, I I arrived in Hörnum with this childish naivety. I don't know what I had expected, that I would just enter the beach, and I had heard that you can possibly spot seals on this beach, and seal is one of my favorite animals, together with dogs. And I just thought they will come and the seals will be lying here, there, everywhere. Of course, it didn't happen. And also, I had expected that I will go to the lighthouse and I will approach the lighthouse as close as I can, and I will take several amazing pictures. But it also didn't happen because I didn't check in advance that, well, actually they accept only groups, and with a group you can go up. Otherwise there is a rope, and technically you can jump over this rope, but I wasn't in the mood to break the law exactly. Otherwise it was too late for me. On Monday there were no excursions, and then there will be only on Wednesday. Okay guys, I figured to spot seals you need to come here so you must be lucky and you must come out of season. And you see what is going on here, like the winds and so, and I'm really attracted to come here in November or December, but I'm really scared what it can be like weather-wise. Disappointment number 1,000 something, I don't know. This is the closest you can get, but on this beach by the lighthouse, it's very peaceful, rather empty, and there is the lighthouse, there is a dog, and the wind is not blowing here in comparison to the previous beach. But the previous one I liked more because I had been more hopeful. Lighthouse. On Tuesday, the day before my departure, I boarded the same train with which I came to Westerland, and I headed to Morsum. Honestly, I had been quite out of energy by that moment because my trip was exciting and it was a creative expedition, but it was also quite tiring. What I can say about Morsum, well, it's a village. It stinks, and on the way to the cliff, and the cliff is the main reason why I came to Morsum, you can enjoy horse sporting or sheep spotting or very aggressive science spotting, saying that if you feed the animals, you'll get into trouble. On the way to the cliff, you will be alone likely because well, it's walkable, it's manageable, but mostly people don't walk there. They travel with their cars or they ride their bikes, and so if you're searching for a deserted place, it's for you. I enjoyed the cliff. The cliff is very beautiful, but majorly because I hadn't seen many cliffs before. I certainly believe that they overdid with the danger signs, because it wasn't that dangerous. I think if someone fell down there, it wouldn't be a drama. And maybe except for certain parts, of course. But I was walking there. The trip is not that far and the path is not that long. It's not one of the crazy hikes. So if you want to go there with your doggy with your kids, as people like doing, it's fine. Finally, almost finished the film from like 2023. Shame on me. Mom, Dad, I'm very, very much safe. Yes, film photography is also one of my hobbies, but I prefer taking pictures of humans because I like when there is some action in the photo. But also in the Germany there is the concept of Datenschutz, the protection of your data, which is also very good, but yeah, I'm sometimes afraid of filming people, and I generally try filming them from their backs. Well, there are plenty of benches if it is important for you. For me, it's important. I'm a grandma. I usually, when I walk with my friends non-stop, 26 kilometers, I start vomiting in the end. So I better make breaks. And I just walk around, and it didn't take much time because, yeah, well, it's not a long hike, as I had already said. And then you come back and enjoy the same shape, the same signs, and the nature, and the absence of humans, if you like. The rest of the day I spent in observing and contemplating. I was sitting on the beach. There was a plane that was making circles in the sky and couldn't land for some reason. And yeah, I won't say how exactly I entered this beach because there were people who checked the tickets. And yeah, I'm glad that I managed to find some peace in the end and just enjoy. Okay, I have almost finished my tea. And that means that it's everything that I had wanted to say. If for some reason you cannot leave Germany or you cannot afford leaving Germany, you can also travel in Germany. Germany is very beautiful, and especially the north. And for me, it was my solo trip since I don't remember when it was last time. I think I went to Barcelona in December 2021, sometime before the war happened in Ukraine. And yeah, it was also fun to realize that I still have many issues with my anxiety. But otherwise, I am so happy. And also in the moment, sometimes I felt like I was doing some stupid things, like I'm filming, it's so all bad and the quality is low, etc. But then I just looked at the footage, did some correction here and there, and I realized that's a wonderful memory. And maybe from this vlog you can learn something new, and maybe you can discover a new place for yourself. Maybe it's going to be a point on the map which you are going to visit quite soon, or maybe not. Maybe you watched my video and thought, oh my god, my head cannot hold on place with this wind. That's also fine. That's why the internet exists. Enjoy nice tea. And if you have never tried tandoori tea, I wish you to try it, because maybe you'll find something warming and cozy for yourself, another tea taste, or maybe not. And I will be wishing you love, love, and peace, peace from Anna of Northern Germany. Stay on this channel. I will, well, the quality is not the best on this channel, but I invest my soul into it. I definitely enjoy making these videos. If you're interested, you can also read my articles on Medium. I also have TikTok, Anna of Northern Germany. I also have Buy Me a Coffee if you want to support me with a small donation. I have everything, I think. I also have Instagram, right? I also have Instagram, and the links are in the description for this video. And hope to see you again. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video and subscribe, and love you very much. Have an amazing rest of the day and choose